Hello, my name is Dale Wilhite. I live at the France Climber in Mountain Village, Colorado. If you want to find anything about me, go to MySpace where I have a page. This is about riding Amtrak. I've done that quite a few times in my life. Back in the 90s, I once rode Amtrak from Chipley, Florida, all the way to Los Angeles, and then back up to Las Vegas. It took 2.5 days to go from Chipley, Florida, which is located near Panama City. It's actually between Panama City and Tallahassee, Florida, just south of Dothan, Alabama, and it took actually 2.5 days to get to Los Angeles. About the same time it takes for of all things, a Greyhound bus. Although back in the 70s it took a Greyhound bus about 4.5 days to go from Panama City, Florida, let's say, to Los Angeles. But they since then cut that out, and although it may take longer now because of all the cutbacks. Anyhow, Amtrak is a great way to go. Most of the time in these long trips that I take, I have a seat to myself. I don't pay for the sleeper. I can sleep fine in a seat. What I like about Amtrak is that you don't have to get off the train, unless you have to get on another one, like I did in Chicago last year. And they have food on board, the snack bars. Although I strongly suggest that you get yourself a Playmate, bring your own food, and that's what some people do. I've seen them bring big, bags of food. One guy had his food all stuffed in a duffel bag. Because it's expensive. It cost me almost $5 for a hot dog and a soda, and so it's the food on there is expensive, but it's available, and and it usually closes up around 10 or 11 at night, depending on who's working. Then opens up around 6 or 7 in the morning. Of course, you get coffee there. That's about the only thing I really wanted to buy was coffee. But if you're going on a short trip, if you can, if it's not too much trouble, just bring a thermos of your own coffee and things like that. You can bring some big bags on there. They have big compartments on the trains for you to place your bags, where you don't have to put them under your seat and things like that. Just keep your valuables and your small bags with you. And they have overhead and a little bit under the seat, even though it's not very comfortable. I can tell you that from Grand Junction, Colorado to Chicago, where I went last year, it took about 22 hours. I don't remember how long it took me to get on into New York City, because I got off a few times and stopped in a few places to visit a few people. But I do remember a few days later I left from New York City to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and it took about 18 hours. It really boogied from New York to Alabama. There is no train service between New Orleans and Jacksonville, and I think halfway down to Miami. And that's due to all those hurricanes of 2005. Pretty much the damage was just enormous. So they haven't yet rebuilt those tracks, and they're talking about doing it. They say they got the money to do it, but I'm not sure yet if they're really going to do that, or if they've even begun. So it's just still up in the air, it seems like. On the train, like I said, the odds are, depending on the time of the year you go, you probably have a seat yourself. So that saves you a ton of money from having to, get a sleeper, because that's going to really cost some money there. It cost me, also last year I went to Reno, Nevada. It cost me $90 to go from Grand Junction to Reno, and $90 back. And what I liked about that was that the train went right into the downtown area of Reno. And so it was pretty easy to get to a casino hotel. And I was just there to visit somebody, and from a long time ago, and I just stayed at the Circus, and I think it was like $29 a night or something. This was back in November of last year. So Amtrak is a better way to go than taking a Greyhound bus, I can assure you. If you don't mind, the travel time. If you're going to go a long distance, you got to have a lot of toleration, and that's can be a problem for some people, especially kids. If you have kids, you got to travel a long way. Taking Amtrak or even a bus can be kind of rough. They do have cars where you can go have dinner. They offer dinners to people. Of course, it costs you some. They do have cars where you can go sit in a seat and just look out the window, and you don't have to sit in your own seat and stuff. Just make sure you take your valuables with you. They have a lot of bathrooms there, which is helpful to everybody. They don't make a whole lot of stops. That's another good thing about that. You know, with the Greyhound bus, you know, I remember back in the 70s, they'd stop about every 10 miles, it seemed like. You know, I can remember one time in Washington where bus would go off the road and go maybe 20 miles inland to some little town where there was no one to pick up. Turn around, come back, and go right across the interstate again and go another 20 miles to another little town. Nobody to pick up, and come right back out. You've gone about 40 miles and you went nowhere. You know, you didn't go further up. Of course, a Greyhound bus from Seattle to, let's say, Milwaukee can take you about 4.5 days. That would have been in 1995. I remember taking a Greyhound then. That's when I discovered I better start taking a bus. A train instead of a bus. That was a long, long ride. Again, I stayed on the train that I was on from Grand Junction to Chicago before I had to get off and board another train, and it took about 2 or 3 hours before the next train left. You don't really have to run and get in front of the line like you do at a Greyhound bus line to get a seat, usually. But again, it depends on how many people are on the bus, on the train. So you have to keep that in mind. But I strongly recommend that you bring your own food, whether you're going on a short or long trip. That'll save you some money. Bring your own water bottle. You know, you can get coolers, like a Playmate. Put some stuff in there, put some ice in it, and if it just gets you through a few hours, or that's better than nothing. But it'll save you a few dollars. It's kind of like a Greyhound. I can remember back in the 70s, in Dallas once, I went to get a hamburger, and it cost me, $5.50 for a hamburger. It took me 2 bites to eat. That's how Greyhound used to, rig things, and that's how they made a lot of their money, was just charging you for the food. So you learn real fast to bring your own food, And of course they got better in the 80s by stopping off instead of at Burger King or McDonald's or a convenience store where you can buy things a little bit cheaper. But back in those days, they put their bus terminals in the worst neighborhoods in every city in America because they knew you weren't going to go wandering off. And so if you wanted to eat or buy a soda, you had to buy it from their terminal. But they stopped doing that. And actually they stopped doing that when Trailways pretty much went out of business. But Amtrak to me, it's a great way to travel. Even in a short distance, it's a great way. I just wish they had more tracks and would open up more services to certain areas, especially from Grand Junction to Vegas, so I can go home and not have to drive all the way down there. It's a fun way to travel, but just be prepared. Bring your own food. Bring some change of clothing if you're going to be there more than 24 hours. Bring a razor if you're got to shave. That is if you're a guy, of course. And give it a try. And get on the internet and look for some good deals. They have deals every now and then that are pretty good. And if you have a long toleration and you can travel long ways and it doesn't bother you, Amtrak would be great. But in the holiday season, it's gonna be kind of crowded. So just keep that in mind. But it's a lot of fun, and you can get on the internet and learn all you can about Amtrak and the routes that are open and when they go. And of course, they do have some bus services. Sometimes they'll take you to a certain area, and you'll have to get off and board a bus to get to your final destination. Keep that in mind. Thank you for your time.